Welcome to Doctrine and Devotion. It's a podcast that explores Christian faith and practice from a Reformed Baptist perspective. My name is Joe Thorne. I'm the lead pastor of Redeemer Fellowship in St. Charles, Illinois.
And I'm Jimmy Fowler, executive pastor at Redeemer Fellowship.
You see my hat over there?
Ooh, the J hat?
The J hat.
That's a nice hat. No, I've not seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
New?
Well, you know the Andersons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Andersons were in Georgia. And while they were in Georgia, they went to a coffee shop. Now, the Andersons own Fresh Ground coffee, and so they're coffee roasters. And while they were in Georgia, they went to a coffee shop. And while they were there, they were saying, hey, yeah, we're from St. Charles. And the owner of the coffee shop was like, oh, yeah. I know a couple guys. I listened to their podcast. A couple guys, a podcast that I did, Jimmy and Joe. And you probably said Joe and Jimmy. And
probably Jimmy and Joe, but yeah.
Probably Joe and Jimmy.
Yeah,
and,
Jimmy and Joe.
Probably not. And they're like, yeah, those are our pastors. And he's like, no way. And so he was saying how, like, man, I was in ministry and vocational ministry, and those guys really kept me sane. Like, I didn't lose my mind, and in part it was because, like, they were helping me to just sort of process and think through. He was really. That's
really kind. That's
so
a really nice thing to say.
Yeah. So this is in I think Delongia, Georgia. I don't know, some crazy sounding city.
All right.
In Georgia, and it's a coffee shop. I'm drawing a blank on the name of the coffee shop.
That's not like the guy who owns the coffee shop, so it's fine.
Yeah, he does. It's his coffee shop. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I follow them on Instagram. But
once you find out that,
so he sent me a hat.
Oh, that's very nice. That's very kind.
He sent the host a hat. He sent the host.
It sounds like he sent the insecure one
the affirmation that he needed to not be depressed.
Yeah,
that might have been it.
So I want to thank you for the coffee shop owner. What's his name?
It's Jethro's House is the coffee shop. It's at Jethro's House on Instagram.
Well, I want to thank the owner.
Yes.
For giving the baby a bottle.
Yeah, give me a bottle, give me a booster seat, whatever I need.
Whatever he needs.
Give me my binky.
Look how happy he is.
Because, yes, I am very happy. And look, hey, listen, Jethro. I don't think that's his name. I don't wear baseball caps, and but I put that on, and it felt good, and it even looks good. So I was wearing it on Sunday.
And
around
now
church.
You're going to just leave it here?
I'll put it on the shelf. Yeah, it looks good there.
So you're never going to wear it again?
No, I wore it once. That's plenty.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how. That's
so kind.
Yeah, but it's got my name. It's got my initial J. It's for me, Joe.
Yeah. Or it's because it's Jethro.
Well, I don't know.
Jethro Coffee.
It may have been. I assumed.
Did you just?
I assumed he made. I thought he made me one for my name. That's. You don't know. You don't know.
I don't know.
No, you don't know.
I don't know.
No, you don't know.
I don't know.
You don't know if he didn't have that custom made for me.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So stop assuming, Jimmy, and why don't you give him the benefit of being a generous person who custom made me a hat?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I got a picture of him holding it right here. That was sent to me. Oh wait, he's wearing the same hat.
Yeah.
Well, because his name is Jethro. Yeah.
Oh, and look, on the website, you could shop. I'm going to hit that shop button. Let's just see what it's got there.
Because he's basically promoting us.
Oh, there's the hat.
Yeah, but he's promoting us. He's giving a shout out to the JoJo.
Anyways. You tried that.
Yeah, that's a cool hat, man. Looks good.
Thank
you so much.
And you guys can go to jethroshouse.com.
And buy the hat.
And then you can buy the hat.
Buy the hat that I got on my shelf.
Go ahead.
And so Eric, they're coffee roasters. Eric and Krista Anderson, awesome people, members of our church, and so they know coffee. And I was like, hey, tell me the truth. Was it good? Was Jethro's House good? You could tell me. And he was like, yeah, no, it was really good. So.
And they know what they're doing.
That's high praise. Because if I like it, it might be good. It might be just okay. What do I know?
It just might be whoever gave him a free hat.
Yeah, it's a free hat. This is the best coffee I've had in a long time. Oh, my goodness. And why is it named...
you give Joe something free, I don't matter what your product is, he's all in.
I like it. As long as it's black.
The best
if it's black,
it's the best
I'm
thing
all over
ever.
I just don't understand why you named your coffee house after the son of Jed Clampett. I don't understand why you would pick him.
It is down in Georgia.
Yeah, oh, that's right. So the Beverly Hillbillies were from Georgia, but they went to. Because you know the Beverly Hillbillies? Are you too old?
I do remember. I don't remember where they came from.
Yeah, well, probably Georgia.
I don't know where they went. I know where they ended up.
No, well, maybe they're from Texas.
See, I don't know where they're from.
I don't know either. I'm gonna look it up though because I'm curious.
Because now it's like, oh, this bit works even better.
Where were the Beverly Hillbillies from? All right. In the pilot episode, the narrator at one point says, "Let's take them back to their home in the Ozarks and see how this whole thing got started." So that's Arkansas, Missouri.
Arkansas, Missouri is the Ozarks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes over both.
Okay.
All right. So but it's all the same. Once you get past Illinois, it's pretty much the South, I think. So it's all the same. Pretty sure.
Yeah, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and the extreme southeastern corner of Kansas.
Oh, it includes more than that. Oh, cool. That's nice. So, hey, man.
Hey.
We got an email.
All right, let's see. Hold on.
From Pink Floyd.
I think that's Patrick Floyd.
Oh, I was just scanning it.
All right.
I wasn't really.
So what does Patrick say?
Patrick says, let me put my glasses on. I know I was going to.
Oh, do you want me to?
Hang on. No, I got it. I'm going to. Now,
Gentlemen,
is he from
I've
Georgia?
just submitted a separate question. But
we're not answering that one.
All right, but this one is far more serious. My wife and I are expecting our firstborn in February.
Congratulations. Congrats. Hope it's a boy.
We find out today if it's a boy or a girl. I have a few questions. Wait, why?
Just trying to be mean.
Wait, I have a few questions on how to properly celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
The first is this. Of all cigars to choose from, what should I look at for in celebrating the birth of my child?
Yeah.
Back in my cigar days, I enjoyed smokes that were lighter on the palate than anything. Should I go Swisher Sweet? White Owl?
He has to be joking.
He's got to be. Let's see. I realize I'm attaching my Midwestern email to this. This is more of a question for when I'm graduated a couple years from now.
Okay, so maybe
wink,
they have
wink.
They have a no alcohol or no tobacco rule at Midwestern. I would be surprised if they do, but maybe they do.
Yeah, well, you know how a lot of these institutions are, you know?
All right, so let's answer that.
It's a good rule for thee, but not for me.
Yeah. Hey, listen, man, when I obeyed the rules.
No, which is great.
Yeah.
But here, okay, side note.
Yeah.
Why have a rule for the students if it's not the same rule for the faculty?
I'd have to think about that.
Now, I can understand, maybe I can understand. Well, no, not at a Christian college. I was thinking of the alcohol one.
Well, if they're of age.
If they're of age, they shouldn't.
It shouldn't matter.
But some places still have that, though.
I don't know of any that do, but I'm sure they do, yeah.
Did Moody?
No, staff couldn't drink.
No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about students. That's why.
Yeah, students couldn't drink.
But if they were of age?
No.
So that's what I'm saying. Like,
but
the staff couldn't either. See, at least that's consistent.
Yeah. It's a stupid rule for everybody.
Yeah, it's a dumb rule for everybody.
And I was like, okay, fine. No cigars.
That's the rule. That's the way it goes.
When I graduated, I walked across and I had cigars in my breast pocket, under my gown, ready to smoke as soon as I got out those doors. I've been waiting a long time. 1997, got right out and did my thing.
So this is more of a question for when for a couple years now for when I graduate.
Okay, so he wants to know what should he do. Okay, so first of all, cigars are a good way to celebrate the birth of your child.
Yep.
Traditionally, it's for a boy, not for a girl, but these days it doesn't matter. If you want to celebrate with your friends.
I did not know it's traditionally only for one.
Yeah, if it's a boy. But it doesn't really matter. Boy or girl.
What'd they give if it was a girl?
Nothing, because they're irrelevant.
Joey.
No, I'm saying back then to them. I'm not saying that's my view.
Joey.
I'm just saying like they were property be traded.
You said that a little too fast. I'm just saying you said that a little too fast.
I saw your question coming, so I prepared.
Okay,
I put an offensive statement in the chamber.
Well
ready
done.
to fire.
Well done. It you know what? It landed. Well, not it landed. It pierced?
Yeah, pierced.
It pierced?
Yeah, that's good.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, okay. So first of all, Swisher Sweet or White Owls, we have to assume you're joking.
Yeah, there's no way you're serious.
Because that's what I smoked literally in third grade when I would steal them from the grocery store. Those are garbage cigars. They're not good cigars.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even real cigars in that it's not like long filler. It's not, it's garbage cigars. So we assume you're joking. If you're not, sorry, man.
Can't help you.
Smoke what you like. But what we would say is you want to go, because you're going to be giving this out to guys. Some of them smoke. A lot of them won't. You want to hand them out, so you don't want to go expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go, but you don't want to go garbage. So you want a cigar that's going to be affordable. Like, how many of these are you going to need to give out?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to sort of help determine your budget. And you don't want to waste a $20 cigar on a guy that's going to smoke a quarter of it and throw it away.
Yeah, forget that.
So you're going to want to go with something affordable. And I would encourage Robustos or Robustos because it's a shorter smoke. They're going to be cheaper.
Yep.
And if people don't smoke it, it's
so what?
It's fun. So I would go with the Robusto size. Now, Jimmy, I know you only smoke cigars that are 20 and up because you won't condescend to smoke anything that's under $20. So
correct, but I always keep a couple of these in my chamber for just such occasion, and that would be a My Father with a Connecticut wrapper.
So a My Father with a Connecticut wrapper is going to be what, $10?
Yeah.
Okay, so a $10 cigar. So again, now if you're talking 5 people, it's 50. You can see it can start adding up if you're just coming out of seminary or whatever.
Yeah, but it's a good one. Like that's a good decent.
It's probably too. I would say it's too good for giving out to people.
Really?
At that price point, I wouldn't do it. I would.
I don't want to make people sick with a cruddy one.
But you can get a good cigar. You can get a My Father for $6 at Benny's.
My Father? Or you mean you're talking about the
AJ Fernandez? I'm sorry,
but
AJ.
that might be too much. That's what I'm saying. That's a medium.
Oh, it is a medium. Yeah,
See,
yeah.
that's just it.
Yeah, so
you're trying to go with a light cigar.
You could go with a Perdomo Champagne.
I find those a little too spicy.
What?
Yeah.
That's a super mild, easy. I've had I think you need to go and reevaluate.
Nah,
there's nothing spicy about that. That's a beginner cigar for everybody.
Nah,
but here's the advice: go to a cigar shop, right? Go to a cigar shop and say, hey, listen, I'm having a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my budget.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get this many cigars. What would you recommend for me to give out that are going to be lighter but still have flavor? You could go with if I'm going to do a Connecticut Shade, Undercrown, I think is a good. It's a lot of flavor, but it's not
spicy.
Yeah, see, everything's too spicy. Why is this spicy? Yeah. So, listen. You're not giving out a gift if you give somebody a Swisher Sweet. If you like them, that's fine, but that's not a gift. They don't want to give that. You open up. It's like giving somebody a cigarette.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
Yeah.
All right. So that's what we would say about that. What's the next question he has?
My next question is, how do I convince my wife the occasional celebratory cigar are a good and right thing and that she is wrong?
Okay, so let's go ahead. Keep going.
My wife Marley is definitely listening to this either in the car or during homework or housework.
Nope, housework. She doesn't go to school. She's a housewife. What?
So feel free to go to school to speak directly to her.
Oh, we shall. We shall.
Okay.
Marley.
I'm gonna let Joe.
Isn't that the name of the dog that died?
That's
Marley and Me?
Yeah. Is that Marlowe? No, Marley and Me.
No.
But I think it's spelled differently.
Is it?
Yeah. This is 2 E's at the end.
No, I think it's the same.
I think the other one's with an EY, isn't it?
No, get out of here.
No, I'm being serious.
Don't just get out. I'm saying actually just leave.
Oh.
Okay, so it sounds like your wife has, based on what you've said here.
Marley.
Is it really?
Yep.
Well, I haven't watched the movie, so
Neither
I'm still right. By virtue of never watched
it. All right, but go ahead.
Okay, so it sounds like you're saying that your wife thinks it's wrong or not good to enjoy an occasional celebratory cigar. And in such cases, I would say, like, Marley, all due respect, if this is a true occasional celebratory cigar, we're talking that would mean 5 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
Would you say that's a fair assessment of an occasional celebratory cigar?
Sure, yes.
Okay. That's not going to have an impact on anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a fairly safe thing to do. You're not inhaling, you're puffing on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean that he should do it. It just means, like, it's not wrong to do it is all that I'm arguing. What would you say?
I would say if your wife is asking you not to.
Okay, you're getting ahead of the conversation.
How's that ahead of the conversation?
You're getting ahead of the conversation.
No, because there's nothing else to add to that.
Sure there is.
What am I going to add to that?
Well, not only I guess you're not getting. You're jumping to the next thing, which is
because this thing right here. There's nothing else to add.
No,
I'm not going to argue with you that 5 times is not bad. That's wrong.
The thing to explore is what are the various reasons that she might object.
Well, you already covered it.
That's one.
What's the other one?
So it could be a health reason. It could be that she doesn't like the smell. It could be that she's concerned about the testimony of this guy. Like, there are various reasons that people would say.
What was this testimony? What was this?
Well, because, like, the testimony thing doesn't mean anything. It's totally
sorry, he was doing
meaningless.
the air quotes.
I did air quotes for Jimmy. Like it's a bad witness if you're smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not a bad witness, except to like fundamentalist Christians. And I don't care about them and their perspective of me. So so let me just say this. There are a variety of objections that someone may have, or that you may have, Marley, about your husband smoking an occasional celebratory cigar. So let me say this, and then we're going to get to Jimmy's thing, which is very important. And I want to get there. And I think we're going to agree.
Maybe
50% of the time. So clarify with him what your objection is, and you need to evaluate, is this objection legit, or am I being unreasonable? Because sometimes we are being unreasonable in our thoughts and our desires. Husbands can be unreasonable, wives can be unreasonable. And that's really on us to figure out if we are being unreasonable. If somebody just tells you you're being unreasonable, that's not going to move the needle very much. So I would just say, evaluate your reasons, and then, you want to compare that with, the pleasure that it may give him or whatever. But at the same time, I would say, a lot of guys talk about, and I mean a lot of guys, and I mean like famous Christian guys, like, oh, I only smoke an occasional celebratory cigar, but they're smoking every week. And that's not an occasional celebratory cigar. So that could be covered.
Yeah, Joe used to joke a lot about, like, I only smoke occasionally.
No, I never said occasionally. I said moderately.
Oh,
that was the word I used,
5 times a day.
Yeah. That's because many of the studies determine that moderate cigar smoking is 5 a day or less.
5 a day or less.
In fact, most of the studies.
And there's no health risk.
No, there is, but there's no statistically measurable increased risk of, say, lung disease or lung cancer. Unless you've smoked cigarettes, then there is a big spike.
Yeah.
But if you've never smoked cigarettes and you smoke moderately cigars, statistically the study show you're not any more likely than a non-smoker to get lung cancer.
Gotcha.
That's just what it says. Okay, but Jimmy, you're getting to a more important issue that's really important. Yes, go.
Yeah. If she doesn't want you to, you don't.
But I don't think it's that simple. Just because your wife doesn't want you to do something doesn't mean you don't do that thing. You have to figure it out. You have to talk about it.
Well, yeah, but you just got through the talking part. But if she's still, at the end of it, is still not wanting that, then you lay that down. So, and but again, that conversation is complex and long. Like, we're just kind of saying, like, oh, here are some things. I think it's important for a husband and a wife to actually talk through, like, the issues and try to arrive together. I was just talking with some ladies about this, about, your husband wants it to go one way and you want it to go another way. And while we are complementarians, we do not believe that the scriptures teach that the husband is the dictator of the home, nor should the wife be. And so, you want to work as much as possible as partners to come to an agreement and a consensus together. While both of you should be willing to consider one another as worthy of more honor, you should be willing to serve them and to put them first, right? So in the husband's case in Ephesians 5, it's talked about in terms of sacrifice. In the wife's case, it's talked about submission. But in both cases, right, part of the idea there is, like, I'm putting their interests first and I want to serve them. And so I would agree that in general, if your spouse says, hey, I don't want you to do this, then you need to figure out, like, is this a good request? Because sometimes it's not a good request. Just because your spouse wants you to not do something does not mean you should not do it. Give me an example. No, I mean, like
sexual performance in the bedroom. The husband wants the wife to do something.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So that's my point, is that there are a lot of things and that's why, like, we got to be sensitive here, because if we're going to say, if the wife asks the husband to do something or not do something, he should do it, then we have to say, if the husband asks the wife to do something, then she should do it or shouldn't do it. And that, I don't want you hanging out with your friends. I don't want you to, know what's going on in our checkbook. Like, there's a whole lot going on that would apply to this. And so you're going to need to talk it out. You're going to need to try to be reasonable together. It's not oftentimes as simple as some people want it to be. In a case like this.
Yeah, no, that's just it. Like, I didn't realize we're going to go to the nth degree.
Well, that's super common stuff. If you do marriage counseling, then you know.
Yeah, I don't do marriage counseling.
This is a very common thing that people deal with, which is like expectations of spouses and what they should be, shouldn't be doing, what they can do, what they have permission to do, and all of that. It gets very complicated, and it can do a lot of damage. Now, in this specific case, there may be ways in which she could say, hey, I can compromise on this and say, like, if we're talking 5 times a year and if you're going to take a shower or whatever, I really don't care. But if it's more than that, then I have like conscience concerns. Or even if she's saying like, listen, I have a real problem with it, then you have to ask yourself as a husband, which is what Jimmy's getting at, am I willing to lay down my preference for something that isn't that important to me, because we're talking 5 times a year anyways. So if it's only 5 times a year, it's not that important.
No, but even if it was, okay. I mean, even if Michelle tonight was like, you know what? Yeah, I want you to just quit smoking cigars.
Sure.
And I'm trying to think how often I smoke.
Lately?
Like
this year, a lot more than in the past.
Yeah.
But we're dealing with him. That's why I just said, like, in this case, if you're saying like, oh, it's only the occasional celebratory cigar, it's not of consequence to you to give it up. It should be an easy thing to give up.
No, but I know. I guess I'm even saying, like, even now with the increase, it's so inconsequential.
Right.
Like smoking a cigar is so
inconsequential
inconsequential that I'd give it up.
Yeah, and it would be easy.
Yeah.
But so like that's what I'm saying. Like in this case, it's not. It wouldn't even be a hard sacrifice. It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't. Yeah.
And if it is, then I would think like there might be pride issues there. So
pride or
selfishness,
depending on what or depending on what it is, addiction, right?
But not in his case.
Not in this case.
We're talking about his case. We're talking about his case. What do you want? You're just throwing up your hands in the air.
Because we keep going back and forth. You went from like some other things we have to talk about of sexual abuse or sexual things, and then
no, because the principle that you wanted to apply to this case, you were overly simplistic with it, saying if she asks, you got to say, and then you go, okay, well that principle doesn't always work. So you have to always determine. So even in this case, you still have to have the conversation.
Yes.
You have to figure it out.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's still the same thing. We're saying like in this case, just because you say like, well, if she says no, you got to give it up. It's not that simple. You still have to talk it out. You just have to figure it out. And that's what we're talking about here. Is like in this case, this should not even be a hard thing for him to give up if she really wants him to give it up, since it is only 5 times. If it is something that had been, let's just say like in his work culture, like all of the people and his clients, they sit around and they smoke cigars, and it's a part of the thing. It's a bit more complicated to say like, well, I'm just going to not smoke around these guys when it actually affects the money that I make. And then again, that's not this example. I'm just saying it's got to be discussed. You got to unpack it. So we could talk about it broadly. And I don't know we want to do that. We want to talk about handling conflict in the marriage. But I'm just saying in his case, we got to answer his question. And I think you would say, if your wife wants you to give up your 5 cigars, give it up. Don't worry about it. If it's only 5, we're trying to interpret what you're saying here. And I would say, have a conversation with her. What are the reasons and the motives? Because I don't think it's healthy to say, and I don't think Jimmy's saying this, but just because your wife or your spouse wants you to do something or doesn't want you to do something, that's not enough of a reason to not do it.
I am saying that.
Yeah. So I would think that's unhealthy.
Yeah. No. I'm fine with that.
So
I'm being serious.
If your spouse wants you, because that's a principle that you're saying. If your spouse,
but it depends on the thing.
Okay. So we're talking about the principle.
Yeah.
The principle is if your wife or your spouse wants you to give something up, you should give it up. That's a bad principle.
Okay. I personally, yeah.
But you don't disagree with that, because you would say, well, it would depend on what it is.
Yeah.
So that's not a principle then. The principle is
it's a posture.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm being serious.
That's better. But words mean things. That's what I'm saying. Like, so if your spouse wants you to give something up, you should be willing to do it, unless it is, inappropriate. Unless it's
inappropriate or something that's not God honoring.
Yeah.
But if it's something as trivial as a cigar or alcohol or whatever else, right? And you could say, how might affect work or something like that. It depends on that, because I've heard that cop out from others, right?
Well, we're not talking about because the cop outs. Yeah, you got to put your cop outs away.
That's just it. But
don't make excuses. But like some people, like, hey, listen, I've heard
people couch it. I've seen guys couch things in terms of, it's going to affect this whole big thing, when really it's just more of a pride, arrogant addiction issue,
and that's wrong. And that's totally wrong of them. But like if somebody's like, hey, I don't understand why my husband gets to play golf for hours once a week, and like I don't think it's worth us spending the money to have him have a membership at the club when like a lot of deals are done on that golf course, and it actually benefits their bottom line. It actually helps them in the long run. Sometimes, like, you have to have a fuller picture, which is why you have to have an honest conversation. You have to have a humble conversation, right? If you're like, the principle is, if we're talking to men, you've got to be willing to sacrifice your life for your wife. Now, if you aren't willing to sacrifice your cigars, or if you aren't willing to sacrifice your golf game, then I doubt that you're willing to sacrifice your life. And even if you are willing to sacrifice your life, but not the smaller things, you're probably not going to have to sacrifice your life. So you're sacrificing nothing. So I think we agree on this principle that you have to be willing to sacrifice, but nobody should be the boss of the other, just telling people what to do. You've got to have a rational, reasonable conversation about things. And then if you can't come to a united conclusion, then we need to be willing to honor each other and say, hey, you know what? It's really important to you. You can do it. Or it's really important to you. I'm not going to do it. We've got to be willing to make that. And that should be true of both people, but it's not usually going to be true of both people. So the person who is stronger in that case should be willing to say, I will make the sacrifice.
Who's the stronger one?
Doesn't matter. But the Bible says it's the man. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
But I am being serious, not in the chauvinistic way, right? But yeah, I do think then if you go through it and you have the conversation and you deem it irrational, you still lay it down.
Well, it would depend. Even then, it's like it's not deemed irrational. If it is irrational, then you still may, because deemed implies that it might not be. Let's say that it is irrational. Then you can still lay it down, of course. But it's not just, is it irrational? Is this request, where is it coming from? If it's coming, I'll tell you this. Paul talks about, hey, man, show deference to one another, show preference to one another, and all of that. Hey, listen, if they're into circumcision, then go ahead and be circumcised. But if they're saying that this is necessary for salvation, then you don't do that thing. So even where this request is coming from has an impact on whether or not you're going to do it. At least it can.
Yeah, I think if you're going to that, so I don't know if that could be the principle. Like, I don't know if we could say to equate, going back to this, somehow cigar smoking and salvation. Right? Like, I think Paul's talking specifically about the purity of the gospel.
But the principle there is that he is willing to do what others want when it is not essential to salvation. I will say, like, yes, this person can be circumcised. It's not a big deal, because it's not a big deal. When another person is saying this is a matter of righteousness, he says no. So there is a divide when there are times to say, I'm going to do things your way, and times when not. I think that principle does apply. If a spouse is hyper controlling every aspect of your life and says, you can only eat these things, you can only do these things. I don't want you, like, if you can't eat meat anymore, or whatever. It, like, at some point it becomes unjust. It becomes, an oppression. And in such cases, I think you need to be willing to say, like, well, no. And I'm not looking for an out for homeboy here if his wife is saying no. I'm saying this larger principle about the relationships that husbands and wives have. We got to be careful about this, because we got to be careful about the principles that we throw at people, because this is what abusers use. They will find a principle and they will then exploit it. And we see this happening in
both ways. In both ways, right? Because, like, yeah. No, I hear you. I'm not... Yeah,
we see this in like,
because I think people take the principle or what like the rationale for the thing that's the nth degree and tries to bring it to something like this, which I think is just
this BS. Is not that thing, right?
Well, that's it. But what I'm saying is that they take the rationale and they try to excuse this.
Yeah. So in the same way, like you can't say like this, and again it would.
And I know they're like, he's joking this whole time.
I know. This is not even that serious.
It's not even that serious of a thing for him.
But what I'm saying is like, yeah, if you are excusing, if you're dismissing your spouse's desires and concerns, then you are wrong. And it doesn't matter what the justification is.
Yeah.
And if you are trying to control your spouse, you're wrong.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what your motivations are.
Yep.
Therefore, we have to have a humble, open, honest conversation and not default to a principle that says you just do it. Now, once you've hashed it out and you go, okay, I've talked to my spouse and they're really uncomfortable with me like let's say if your wife likes to go and do, if a guy calls in and he's like, hey, listen, my wife goes to yoga. She goes every day. And it's just a yoga class. There's no teaching. They just no spiritual stuff. It's just yoga. But I really believe that she's aligning her spine in such a way that demons can go into her and it's going to possess her. I want her to stop doing yoga. Would you say she has to stop doing yoga?
As a counselor? No.
Okay. So that's not that different, right, from this. It's like I would want to explore, and I would want him to understand what's going on. Now, is there something else that she could do? But like, I want to protect both the husband and the wife from people that are controlling and misunderstanding things. If somebody has like legit health concerns, then like I think that's very good, right? So like smoking, you could have a concern. Yoga, you're not going to have a health concern. You have some mumbo jumbo concern about like aligning your spine or whatever.
I've never heard that. Is that an actual thing?
Oh yeah, a lot of people would argue any form of yoga is inherently satanic because of its origin, and there's like a whole.
Oh, I didn't know if like the aligning the spine thing.
No, that's just me. But they do think that this is a way that you can be spiritually oppressed, and yeah. I
think I've heard that.
It's very Driscoll, I think, went off on that one time during his Fundy stage. During that same time, he was going off on Avatar as the most satanic movie ever made.
Really?
Yeah. He went full Fundy. I don't know how many months.
Avatar was.
Yeah, I know. First of all, it's like one of the worst movies ever made. So who cares? And then
it's just Pocahontas.
Yeah, it's like
it's just Pocahontas in space.
You don't have a problem with Star Wars? Like everything's pagan. Everything's coming from pagan worldviews unless it's coming from the Bible. What are you talking about? Yeah. But Avatar's the danger.
Avatar's the dangerous one.
So yeah, I think like let's talk about conflict, right?
All right.
When you're having conflict with your spouse. The best thing to do is to just ignore it.
Just say sorry.
No, ignore it.
Just say sorry and move on.
Okay.
Just put your head down.
Okay. If I ignore it, if I say sorry, can I then ignore it?
Yeah.
Okay. Say so. Okay.
Say sorry and then ignore it.
That's the combined wisdom of Doctrine and Devotion.
Just say sorry, move on.
Doesn't matter whether you mean it or not. Just say it and then ignore it.
And just be done.
Man, when you're having conflict, admit that there's conflict. Yeah. And take some time to talk it out. Couples get in fight over finances or how we talk to or about our in-laws or, how we talk to one another. And frequently, like I think I can say this. Oh. Jen and I have rarely fought throughout our 24 years. Very rare. We have disagreements, which is never a big deal. And we've argued some. But when
she's irrational,
as women do. No, I'm totally kidding. When she becomes hysterical.
No, stop. Don't. I knew.
No, I stopped myself. I stopped myself.
That's my love for you right there.
Thank you for loving me.
I read your mind. I saw your eyes.
Yep.
Your eyes got a little wider.
I don't mean any of that, but there was a day.
Stop.
Okay. So we've never had, but what I know would really bother her and what really bothers me is when we feel like the way that we are being talked to is disrespectful.
Yeah.
She doesn't like it and I do not like it. And sometimes it's just, hey, listen, I took it that way. They weren't really disrespectful. I took it that way. But sometimes we just are disrespectful. Yeah. So whatever it is.
The heat of the moment, yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is, man, determine that you are going to address the issue in humility, that you're going to listen to each other and you're going to try to talk it out.
And I think that's the part there, right? Like, is learning early on what the ground rules are.
Yeah.
And sticking with the ground rules, right? I mean, every fight's got to have some rules, even boxing, right? Yep. Like it has to have some sort of rules to guide the conversation. And I guess really just to know how to go about it in a healthy manner, right? So yeah, for Michelle and I, there's various rules that we have set in place.
Jimmy speaks first.
Stop. To navigate those conversations.
So like what's one or two of the big rules that like stand out in your house? And a lot of people talk about house rules for conflict. And and I do this in marriage counseling, pre-marriage counseling. Do any stick out?
There's two that really stick out to me. The first one is always assume the best of the other person.
It's good.
Right? Assume the best. You may have felt slighted, but don't assume that was the intention.
They may have even said it bad.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they meant it bad.
Didn't mean, yeah.
That's good.
So assume the best of the other person.
It's the only time you're allowed to assume.
Yeah.
You assume the best.
Secondly, don't interrupt.
Yeah. Oh, that's good advice, dude.
Like, don't interrupt.
No, let me tell you about one time.
Allow the other to finish the thought.
I'm so happy with that joke.
That was a good joke.
Because
it was just on point.
We can entertain ourselves for 2 more hours.
So here was the funny part going through my head about that. When I was giving you the second one, was like, I was waiting for you to go like, why can't you learn that here? Because you get so mad at me when I interrupt you in the midst of something.
Oh, and you'll keep doing it because you can see me getting triggered.
I see you get so, and I'm like, funny. Oh, how much can I get?
No, you'll do it here. You'll do it at a cookout,
elders meeting,
elders fellowship. You just keep doing it. Because part of the, and if I can just affirm what you're saying is that,
yeah, please affirm.
When you are cutting somebody off, you are, first of all, you're telling them what you're saying doesn't matter. You're saying, I'm not listening to you, and you're discouraging them from actually being honest because they're just not going to want to do it. Yeah, those are two really good principles.
I got plenty more.
Well, one of the principles that I like as well is, hey, listen, deal with it as immediately as you can.
Yes.
So some people are just like, I'm just going to go and cool off, and they go and they leave, and maybe they go and hang out, or they go for a drive, and they come back, and then they don't deal with it. And I'm not a fan of going off and cooling off like for any long period of time. I would rather deal with it as soon as you can. If you need 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, do that. And if you do take off, fine. But whatever, you've got to deal. Don't just let it sit there. And so don't let too much time, if any, pass before you can begin to address it. You're not going to settle the whole issue, but you can at least apologize if you've wronged them. And you can extend forgiveness, even if you can't settle. Like let's say Jimmy went out and bought too many shoes.
Dude, I thought I was going to get yelled at today.
That were too expensive.
I literally went on a spree today.
So let's say Jimmy does that.
And Jimmy did that today.
And Michelle sees it, and she's upset because that money was actually supposed to go somewhere else, and now what do we do? So Jimmy could apologize. I think you could deal with it. You could apologize and say, listen, I don't know how we're going to fix it right now, but we will take care of this problem, and we'll deal with the long-term thing. So you gave two, I'll give two. So one is deal with it ASAP. Talk it through and get as far as you can. I think that's one of the principles. The other rule that I think is good is don't let people. I guess let me put it this way. I'm trying to find a way to succinctly state this.
Ooh, here we go. Here we go.
It's certainly not original to me. There are a lot of people. So
yeah.
Don't separate and just cool down. And okay, this is the other thing I wanted to say about that. If you cool down, oftentimes you'll think like, okay, it's over. We're all good. And it's because we're not mad anymore. Right. The other thing I would say is don't allow people to come into your house or your party or whatever, even if you are in the midst of a conflict. So here's what I mean. It's connected to part one. Sometimes we think like, oh, we can't deal with this right now because people are here. Well, you know what you can do is if people are arriving, like let's just say Jimmy's having a party and people are starting to arrive, but Michelle has screwed up again and she's in big trouble. And Jimmy's all mad. But what you can do is you can excuse yourself and say, hey, listen, we got to take care of some stuff.
Yeah, go make up.
It's better to do that than to just bury it through social convenience.
Awkwardness, yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, Jen and I had a big fight one time, big argument when we were newly married, right? This is one of the rare ones where we were having it out in the car. And I was going to a church to preach somewhere. And we get out of the car.
Oh, that's got to feel great.
Oh, my gosh.
That's going to feel great.
Well, what made it feel worse is we get out of the car and she's all suddenly, hi, everybody, all super happy. And I'm like, you're so fake.
Oh.
But I was being just as fake.
Of course.
But I'm looking at her like, man, look at her. Like, let's see how she can be nice to these people. She goes, no, she couldn't be nice to me. In the midst of our fight, I admit that she was wrong, even though I was wrong in that situation 100%. So, yeah, I would just say, don't separate and don't allow your circumstances to put a block of you at least beginning this reconciliation process through the midst of conflict. You had something else you wanted to share.
Oh, and this is not original, but we find it helpful, and I have to continue to remind myself, no bringing up the past.
Yeah.
No using past fodder.
Yeah.
for the current situation.
Yeah, it's not going to help.
No.
Now,
if anything, I think it actually it diminishes my argument.
Now, is there a sense in which you have to bring up a pattern that's been in the past to address a current thing? Because what we're talking about is not a one-off, but it's a pattern.
If it's a pattern,
so like, hey,
I yes, but how I would word it in the rare time that I've had to do it has been, it just feels like we're going through the same cycle. Mm-hmm. And so, like we've worked through this, but it keeps coming back up. So how do we end this cycle?
You're not trying to punish them by bringing it up.
So instead of saying it like you always do this and you did it 4 times in the past 6 months, instead of saying something like that, it's we have a pattern here. How do we address the pattern? Because that's going to help us.
It's just, if it's not like something crazy evil, you don't want to be accusatory. You want to try to explanatory, right? Like, hey, listen, this,
mansplain it.
Yeah, well, you have to, because you're not saying, listen, I'm still mad at you for this thing that happened in the past, but you seem to think that this doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. But it has been happening. It's happened. It's happened in the past. Hey, I got another principle. We got time for one more?
We got time for one more. Man, how do we get a whole thing off Patrick's stupid email?
Okay. Makeup sex.
Yeah.
Makeup sex. Okay. In every movie and every TV show, Jimmy's laughing.
Because I got so many jokes going through my mind.
Yeah. In every movie and every TV show, the assumption is that makeup sex is the best sex.
Yeah. Now, or that it's even going to happen.
Yeah.
I used to cause fights just to get that point.
And then you found out it didn't happen?
It didn't happen. I'm like, oh,
great.
Now I'm just frustrated.
Now you're all ready to go.
now I'm just going to bed alone and frustrated.
Great. Just angry. Okay, so here's the thing. And the idea behind makeup sex for married couples is like, oh, it's a way to kind of get over it. You get your aggression out and you're angry, but then you have sex and you fall in love again or whatever. That's just nonsense.
Nah, yeah.
So the only way in which makeup sex is great sex is if it's after you make up. It's after you've repented, after you've apologized, after there's been some reconciliation. If that's what you mean by makeup sex, great.
Yeah.
But if you think like, no, we're going to make up.
That's going to fix. Oh, I see.
Because that's what people think makeup sex is. Makeup sex is like, oh, we're going to use this as just to get through it and get over it. You don't know what makeup sex is.
No, because I've only thought of it in the proper way.
Oh, that's right. You got the. Well, then why don't you get it?
Huh?
You just said you never get the makeup sex.
No. I didn't say never. I'm saying
you did.
No.
I didn't say never. Play it back. Never ever happens.
No, I never said that. But No. What I'm disagreeing with is the assumption that once everything is made right and both have repented, that sex is now going to happen.
Oh, yeah, of course not.
That's the part that I'm like, no.
Okay, so let me be really clear. I tried to be clear. I think I was. Jimmy didn't pay attention.
No, you are not.
But
no.
The world says makeup sex is a way of making up.
Yeah.
And what we're saying is makeup sex is only healthy if it happens after you have made up, after you have reconciled.
Yes.
And listen, guys, and Jimmy's 100% right here. Just because you've made up doesn't mean your spouse is ready to go because, and this is going to sound very gender specific.
Oh goodness, this is going to be so good.
But this is what psychologists and others say, that when it comes to sexual motivations among married people, guys can move into a desire for sex quicker or without as much emotional needs as most women. So like a guy, basically blinks 3 times. He's like, okay, now I'm ready. I'm ready. It's been enough time. And your spouse might need a little more time. Yeah. So Patrick, here's the thing. If your wife really doesn't want you celebrating with cigars a couple of times a year, then you should be willing to put that away. However, that was a little late, Jimmy.
No, I was right there.
You were giving him the.
I was giving the wah wah wah.
Yeah, that's you're just gonna have to lay it aside. However, if Marley is a hyper controlling, awful person who wants to micromanage every area of your life, then you just need to tell her what's up, okay? And you say, hey, girl. This is my time. This is my thing. It's my decision. And then you tell, that's what you.
Is that really how?
No, that's not still not what you. Then you need counseling.
Final question. Ready?
Oh,
when she puts me in the doghouse after hearing this mailbag, is that when I'm allowed to have a cigar? Do you double down?
Okay, listen, man. She's going to know. And if you have a beard, she will definitely know.
Definitely know.
It takes multiple washes to get it out of a beard.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, if you know what's good for you.
The only way I can hide the cigar smell is by smoking another cigar.
Yeah, that's great.
That's it.
That's the only.
I go from one cigar to the other.
So listen, man. Hey, Marley. All the joking aside, we think that you guys are great. We love the funny email, but if you're serious, because I can't tell how serious it is. If you are serious, let your husband know. Hey, listen, I'm really serious about this. Have the conversation, and
she's serious. He's joking.
We don't know how serious she is either.
All right,
we just don't. He says it. I know. Yeah. So if you're serious. And you haven't been clear with him that he is serious, that you are serious, then make sure that he knows why you're concerned. And then Pink Floyd, you're just going to have to be comfortably numb. And you're just going to have to put another brick in the wall and never have a cigar again. Pink Floyd reference songs. Those are songs from Pink Floyd.
I know. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm really impressed with you.
Come on.
Well, we love to get thoughts. You can follow us online on Instagram and Twitter @DocandDevo or on Facebook /Doctrine and Devotion. You can head to the website, DoctrineDevotion.com. There you can contact us. You can sign up for the email blast at the store, JoFoStore.com, and grab some gear.
Huh.
We got that fresh pot every Monday and Thursday. We got blog posts, video content over at the website.
What?
Well, no, I thought you were about to say something.
Oh, just squeaking.
And we've also got
cracking voice.
That all-access exclusive content. Banter of Truth on Tuesdays, Weekday Wisdom Monday through Friday. Head on over to DoctrineDevotion.com /all-access to sign up today. Later.